Thank you so much for attending my PowerPoint presentation on Dark Willow, a hero for e-girls. Dark Willow is a ranged intelligence support hero who, much like how she has two ultimates, also has two iconic features. The first is doing a bunch of really weird stun and root effects that have no clear parallel with any other hero in the game. The second is doing an unfathomable amount of magic damage out of nowhere. Both of these traits are evenly distributed throughout her kit and work together to create a support who can be extremely scary in a 1v1 situation. Her Q, Bramble Maze, puts a bunch of tiny little circles on the ground, and if enemy heroes walk into them, they will take damage and be rooted. A single cast of Bramble Maze produces 8 of these tiny little circles, giving the ability an insanely high ceiling for CC. Her E is one of the weirdest stuns in the game. It doesn't do anything immediately, but it starts a 4-second countdown, and at the end of it, the target and anyone around them will be stunned for a considerable amount of time. These two abilities form the core of her chasing, and you're going to be doing a lot of that because one of her ultimates, Terrorize, is a massive AoE fear that will send the entire enemy team running away from you. That ability involves a short windup which results in a massive circle on the ground that will send any enemy units hit by it fleeing for their lives. These three abilities make her an incredible CC machine, and in the right circumstance, she can chain stun an entire enemy team. As for the ridiculous amount of damage that she deals, this is owed first to Shadow Realm. This is a defensive ability that makes Dark Willow completely untargetable for a set duration, and she can break it by right-clicking. That right-click will have a monstrous amount of magic damage tacked onto it, and also comes with 600 bonus attack range. She's free to move and perform any number of actions while inside of Shadow Realm, including casting her other ultimate, Bedlam. Bedlam summons an orbiting projectile around Dark Willow that will deal an insane amount of single-target magic damage to whatever it's closest to. This could mean clearing out a creep wave, or bringing a 6-slotted Terrorblade to heal 35 minutes into the game because he got caught out by Cursed Crown in a 1v1. All of these abilities combine to make Dark Willow an incredible pause for its scaling. Whether you need more stuns or more damage, she'll have you covered. Also, in case you're wondering if she has some kind of tragic backstory, she doesn't. She was actually born a Nepo baby and then killed her family anyway and ran away. In a beautiful act of lexicographical synchronicity, this actually somehow makes her a manic pixie dream girl for many Dota 2 players. Now let's talk a little bit more about those stuns. First off, Bramble Maze is a very strange ability. When Dark Willow casts it, she can actually manually see where all of the brambles will spawn, and if she's clever, she can put one right on top of her target so that they immediately become rooted as soon as she casts it. However, that's only using up 1/8 of the potential of the entire ability. Ideally, you're casting it in the middle of a chaotic team fight, and the enemy heroes have so many particle effects coming off of their immortals that they cannot see the ground. As a result, they will waddle into the brambles multiple times for no reason at all. It also has some applications in the lane, especially if your laning partner can stun them first to set it up for you, and if they can't, you can always use Cursed Crown and set it up for yourself. However, if you do so, you're also giving the enemy heroes a 4-second warning to start running away from you, which is part of the reason why you usually level Cursed Crown last. Bramble is also especially effective against micro heroes, so Beastmaster, Meepo, etc. It's hard enough to dodge all of the brambles while walking through them on the way back to your tier 1. If you have summoned units, there's no way you're microing those too. It's not the most mana efficient way to get rid of Beastmaster's boar, but it can work in a pinch, and if that's what the lane has come to, that's what you gotta do. As for Cursed Crown, I really don't have that much to say about it. It's a hyper-delayed unit target stun that, in the most ideal cases, can actually nail a couple of people for up to 2.4 seconds. However, the ability only really gets good once you pick up an Aghanim Shard. When Cursed Crown finally does proc, it will also spawn 4 brambles all around them. This means that not only are they stunned for 2.4 seconds from the Cursed Crown itself, but they will also be rooted for an additional 2.5, giving you 5 seconds of time to just obliterate them with Bedlam. However, for now, I want to talk about her other ulti. Terrorize is a massive AoE fear effect that is the size of the sun. It has a radius of 500 and lasts for 3.2 seconds and will force any enemy heroes affected by it to immediately run towards their fountain. The standard CC combo for this hero is using Terrorize, dropping Bramble Maze behind them, and then putting Cursed Crown on whoever's closest to the center of the herd. If everything goes according to plan and you have an Aghanim Shard, it's possible to remove control of an opponent's hero for 9 seconds. If your team can't deal with a priority target in almost 9 seconds of CC, you're not going to win the game anyway. Now let's talk about the actual reason you picked her damage potential. Bedlam, if all goes according to plan in Magical Christmas Land, deals 3,740 magical damage before reductions or spell amp. This is more than enough to kill the vast majority of heroes in the game at pretty much any time. However, it requires them to be the only valid target for Jex's attacks and for you to move in a very specific pattern. Since Jex orbits around Dark Willow has to counter-orbit around the intended target. It's a little bit tricky, but after a couple minutes in demo mode, you'll have it down pat, and you'll be ready to solo kill agility carries regardless of their inventory. However, on the off chance that 2,800 applied magic damage isn't enough, you have another magical nuke at your disposal. Shadow Realm is a potent offensive and defensive tool that not only punishes enemy heroes for going on you, but also punishes them for going away. For 5 seconds, Dark Willow becomes completely untargetable and begins charging up the Kamehameha. After 3 seconds, she now has an additional 360 magic damage applied to her next attack. The obvious combo is to throw all of your spells on one hero, then run up to them and use Bedlam while orbiting around them to ensure the most damage possible is dealt. This means that pretty much any carry that doesn't have a built-in Dispel or Magic Immunity tool has to be afraid of Dark Willow. If you two run into each other in an empty jungle, she is going to win that fight. However, if that magic damage still isn't enough for you, don't worry, there's a way to deal even more. Now, if all of this sounds very appealing to you, and you already have a premium membership at lafari.shop, here's how to play Dark Willow. Now, due to the wonky and weird nature of all of her CC, she's actually not that strong of a laner. You're going to be spending the bulk of your time just poking at enemy heroes with your right clicks, and when they decide to finally man up to you, popping Shadow Realm, pretending to run away, and then smacking them for even more damage. One of the interesting things about Bramble Maze is that you can use it to instantly determine how stupid the enemy heroes are. Throw it down in the middle of a creep wave and watch what they do. If they waddle up to it and immediately get rooted, they're probably pretty dumb. If, after 5 seconds of it being down, they waddle into another one for no reason while under their own tower, you know that you're dealing with some premium morons. However, if they deftly dodge every single bramble that you put down, know that you're probably going to have a difficult lane, and you might be better off rotating to find bigger morons elsewhere. Other than that, you're pretty much just going to be doing standard position 4 stuff. Try to manage the jungle, keep your pause 3 happy, stack the triangle if you can, and gank mid if you feel like it. Dark Willow's kit is also really good at punishing dives, so if you see the enemy mid laner or enemy off laner diving your heroes, feel free to TP in and just spam all your buttons. Something good will probably happen. Once the early mid-game skirmishes start happening, 3v3s and so on, your job is to just press a bunch of buttons and make as much shit happen as you can. Don't save Bedlam and Terrorize for ideal situations. If you can make one hero either die or run away, that's probably a good use of one of your 2 ultimates. Now once you have some flip to fling at the shopkeeper, there's a couple of different item builds you could go. The standard path is to just pick up a bunch of standard position 4 items that help both you and your team. Eul's and Glimmer Cape are both good options. The former will allow you to burn cooldown so Shadow Realm can be used right after, and the latter will allow you to interfere with the opponent's magic damage based game plan. However, if you've picked Dark Willow with intention, we all know what you're really going to buy immediately after your first defensive. You're going to buy an Aghanim Scepter, and then you're going to queue up a Moon Shard. Aghanim Scepter makes it so that the right clicks out of Shadow Realm don't cancel the ability early, and Moon Shard makes you hit like a machine gun. When combined, these 2 items will allow you to solo kill the enemy agility carry without ever having to press Bedlam. There are many position 4s who decide to just say screw it and become a core in the late game, and Dark Willow is one of the absolute best at doing so. You don't need any farming items, you don't have to alter your skill build in any way, you just buy these 2 items. 8,000 gold and you are suddenly a real damage threat. Still, don't forget to use the rest of your spells. Just mash your keyboard in fights, pop Shadow Realm, and hit whoever looks like the juiciest target. Get enough kills with this method and your team will eventually forgive you for spending all your gold on those 2 items. Valve seems to have a bit of an obsession with adding position 4s that deal damage to the game. I wrote a little bit about that phenomenon here. Feel free to read it if you like. Now, if you're well past the stage of your life where you willfully entertain e-thoughts, here's how to beat Dark Willow. First off, know that a single Dispel is not going to be enough. A Manta Style or a Satanic may get rid of Curse Crown, but it won't deal with all the brambles on the ground. And no Dispel can save you from Terrorize. As a result, it's much more efficient to just stack magic resistance or pick up a BKB and rely on spell immunity for dealing with Dark Willow. Next, note that Shadow Realm does not actually make her invincible, only untargetable. This means that heroes that can deal damage or stuns in an AoE, such as Pangolier, Slardar, Juggernaut, or Centaur Warrunner, are excellent picks into Dark Willow. Special mention goes to Axe because the taunt will make her right-click and prematurely end Shadow Realm against her will. Aside from that, she is yet another example of a support with a frail little bitch body. If you can jump on her and get at least 1 or 2 spells off, she'll probably die in the process. Just stay motivated, knowing that if you make the Dark Willow player upset enough, she will no longer DM you asking for alcohol money on a Wednesday afternoon. In conclusion, Dark Willow is a devilish hero, and you should absolutely play her. I bet you thought that this PowerPoint was going to be full of haha the biggest oversight jokes. This is your reminder that I am not a Redditor. I am something much worse. Peace on planet Earth.